Hey babes, welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Nikki. For those of you that are new here, welcome. As a women's life coach, I am passionate about helping women create happier, more fulfilling lives. And in today's video, we are talking about 5 habits that will help you to be successful at this whole single mom life. For those of you that don't know me, I am a single mom, and this is an area that I've always been passionate about helping women with because I know how challenging and overwhelming it can be to being a single mom. So today I'm going to give you guys 5 tips, 5 habits that I formed and I believe will help you as well to be successful at this. I want to preface this with saying that these are not in any particular order. Take them and put them in the order that you find suits you best, but I wanted to just share these with you ladies. The first habit that I want to talk about is building a relationship with your children and understanding your children. And I know, as simple as this sounds, a lot of us may feel like, girl, duh. But in all honesty, this is an area that so many women fall off on. And I understand it. I get it, because as a single mom, we now have so much on our plate, especially if you are a single mom where, like me, I didn't have people to help me. I didn't have family around to help drop my kids off or pick them up anywhere, or help, if they were sick, they can go run and get them from school because I had work. Like, everything was on me. I didn't have friends around to help me do these things. And so it becomes overwhelming and it becomes exhausting. And because of that, a lot of us, the relationship and the bond that we need to focus on and build with our children kind of slips away, because we're more focused on making sure that we keep that roof over their heads, the bills are paid, food is on the table, and everybody is alive by the end of the day, right? So I get it. But I honestly feel, for me, this is number one. This was key for me, was forming a healthy relationship with my children and letting them know that they had access to me, that I was available. It doesn't matter what was going on in life. It didn't matter how much I was carrying. I wanted them to always know that if you need me, you got me. If you're needing to have a conversation or a heart-to-heart, or you're going through something, mom is here. Like, I will shut everything down to make sure that they know that they have my ear. And why did I do that? Well, because although their dad has always been in their life, it was never to the extent of seeing him every day and having access to him all the time. And it was never to the extent of he's the one going to pick them up from school when they're sick or taking them to the doctors. It was always me. And so at the end of the day, although he was around, I always wanted to make sure that my kids knew that, without a shadow of a doubt, I know for sure that there's one solid person in my life that no matter what, she has my back. She's going to be there. And I find that to be so important, especially when children are dealing with parents that are going through separation, going through divorce. The children are taking on so much as it is. They are going through so much emotionally. Even if they're not being vocal to you about it, they are very much going through a lot. And so I wanted to always make sure that my children knew that they had that support system. And that also looks like allowing them to be children. We're going to take it back to where I started in the beginning. And I said, I understand it's overwhelming. We have a lot on our plates. We are the breadwinner. We are paying the bills. We're the doctor. We're the everything, right? And for a lot of moms, what ends up happening is we put a lot of pressure on our children and we cause them to grow up a lot faster than they should have to. And in all honesty, I believe that anyone who grows up with a single mom is going to grow up a little faster than any child, like, regardless, right? But there's a limit to how much you should be putting on these children. I see a lot of moms that, they want their son to now be the man of the house, and he's a child. That is a lot of pressure to put on a child. And so I found it very important to allow my kids to be kids. Yes, I would love that extra help, but I just felt like it's unfair, and it is unfair for the children to now have to become an adult or act in this adult role because of mistakes that the actual adults made. So as much as you can, focus on allowing them to be children. Now, I am not saying if you need them to help you with something, don't have them help you because they need to be a child. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, just be mindful of the pressure that you're putting on them, and just make sure that they're still allowed to play and be free and be childlike and not consumed with the reality of adult problems and adult issues. Also, along with forming this healthy relationship with your children, it is important that you're not having conversations, negative conversations with them about the other parent. And I want to say this. If you are a mom who is dealing with a parent, your child's father, who is giving you a hard time and he's just a jerk, right? We'll just say he's just a jerk. I want to let you know that it is unnecessary and it's not okay to have that conversation with your children. It's no point, and it's very unnecessary I now need to make sure that kids know how much of a trash their dad is. Girl, you don't even have to do it. I promise you, you don't have to do it. Not only is it damaging towards them, and it's so hurtful for the kids because they love the kids naturally, they're going to love their parents. If they grew up around their parents, even if they saw their parents probably like once in their life, they're going to have some attachment to that parent. And so you now speaking negative and telling them how horrible this person is makes that child feel horrible as well. Makes the child feel bad about loving this person and wanting to be around them because they love you as well. So don't put that on the kids. It's just too much and it's not fair. But I want to say this as well. Children pay attention to every single thing. And so even if you feel like they don't even see what I'm doing, they don't even realize, like, he doesn't even help, he's a jerk, whatever you're going through with the dad, and you feel like your kids are not seeing it and they just think he's just so amazing. They may very well think that he's amazing, but children see everything. They pay attention to everything. So just let them be, because I promise you, as they get older, their eyes begin to open. And this is what I went through with my own children. When I went through the separation and the divorce process, my goal was to never bash their dad to them, never have these conversations about what their dad is doing with anyone else or the fact that he doesn't help. Like, I'm not doing that to them. I already knew that these kids were going through a lot. They were already hurting, right? And so I allowed them to continue to go to dad, and you have fun, and you can think he's the greatest dad because he's taking you to all these cool places, whatever you want to think, right? But as they got older and they started to mature and things started to make sense to them, they're like, hold up. And so they'll come to me and be like, well, wait a minute, Mom, this is not right. I never had to say anything to them. Allow them to form their own opinion and not it be based off of what you're feeding them. It is unfair, and a lot of times what can end up happening is your child will end up resenting you for how you are talking about the other parent. So just leave that alone, girl. Like, talk about it with a girlfriend or a family member, whoever else, but leave the children out of it. Last thing that I want to add when it comes to building a healthy relationship with your children, which these tips that I'm giving around this is not the end all be all. So, form your own healthy relationship with your children. But another advice that I want to add is to check in with them. And when I say check in, I mean check in and ask them, is there anything that you'd like to talk to me about? Or is there anything that I'm doing that you would like me to do more? Is there any areas that you feel like I need more of this from you, Mommy? Because sometimes we feel like we got it all. We feel like we're on the right track because we're doing the best that we can. And again, we are so consumed with everything else that's going on around us. But we may fall off in certain areas where our kids really need us, and we're not even cognizant of it unless you ask them, because a lot of our kids won't even say a word. They already know Mom is stressed out, and so we're just going to keep going with the flow. So one thing that I used to do with my kids was I would just ask them, Is there anything that you want me to do more of? Like, do you need more time with me? Do you need more hugs? Or is there anything that I'm not doing that you would like for me to do? And I rarely had them come up with anything in particular. My kids were always just like, no, mommy, you're perfect. Because they're like, our kids are so sweet. They're like, mommy, you're perfect. But as they got older, because they were so used to me allowing them to be vocal about how they were feeling or what they felt like they needed from me, I didn't even have to ask the questions as they got older, like into the teenage years, because they'll tell me like, Mom, I need you to put your phone down when I'm talking to you. Because, I'll be on the phone and I'm like, like I can hear them, but I'm multitasking. You know how we do, moms. So I'm multitasking. And like, I have one in particular, he's just like, can you just put your phone down when I talk? Like, just put it down. The others don't care. But they all have their own personality. So learn their personalities and treat them according to that versus everyone gets treated the same way. Everyone gets handled the same way. And I know this probably sounds like a lot because you're like, girl, I already got a lot on my plate. But honestly, this is going to make the process so much easier for you ladies. I promise you, because there's a sense of peace that the children get in the home because of this. They know that they can come in. They know that how they feel is valid. They know that if whatever they want to say, they're going to be listened to. There's a peace that comes with that. And so when they come into the home, all you feel is love and everyone is relaxed. There's no tension. There's nothing like that. You could be exhausted at the end of the day, but the children are happy because they feel safe there. So yeah, check in with them and just ask them certain things like, what more is there anything more that you would like for me to do? Or is there something more that you need from me? And just see what they say. And a lot of times they could be like my kids where they're like, Mommy, you're perfect. You don't need to do nothing. Okay, cool. but check in with them and allow them to express how they feel. I feel like it's so important. I just did this a day ago because I knew I was going to do this video. And I was just like, you know what? Before I sit up here giving advice, of course, yeah, I'm a single mom. I've gone through the process for about 10 years of being a single mom. But I was just like, let me check in with my kids. And I asked them in particular, and I think I'm going to share it in this video, but I asked them, tell me something that you like the most about me, something like that. And everybody had a different response. The little one, the youngest one said, I like the fact that you get me. And I was just like, what do you mean? And he's like, you understand me, like you listen to me, you allow me to talk, you allowed me to be myself. He's 9 years old, y'all. And I was like, okay, I'm doing something right there. And so the other three, I texted them and I asked them the same question, like, tell me something that you like the most about me as a mom. And my daughter said, I love the fact that you allow me, you don't judge me. That's what she said. She said, you don't judge me. Even if it's something that you don't agree with, you don't judge me, So, and then, one of my boys said, he's like, I like the fact that you have self-respect. I'm like, okay, so ladies, like I said, your kids pay attention to everything. They pay attention to everything, right? But yeah, he said, I like the fact that you have self-respect. And then he said he likes the fact that I don't allow anyone to mess with them. And then the other one said that he likes the fact that I make them feel loved. And so again, you don't have to perform. You don't have to do anything extra. You just have to be and just form that relationship with them. And they're going to see it. They're going to get it. And I just was so taken aback by the responses just because, we know that we're doing the work. And sometimes you can work and work and work and you're just going through the motion and you're going through the days. And sometimes you wonder, does it mean anything for them? Do they get it? Am I really appreciated? And so just getting these responses from them. So if you guys want to even just ask your kids that question, like, hey, what is the one thing you like most about mommy? And see, it's a nice little confidence booster too, ladies. So definitely try those out. And if you do, hit me up and let me know how it worked for you. Let me know what response you got. Okay, so that was just habit number one. Habit forming number one, creating a healthy relationship with your children. The next habit is setting boundaries and sticking to them. Ladies, we have enough on our plates as it is, right? Especially if you are a single mom with no kind of backup, no help. You have enough on your plate. Set boundaries, set rules, and stick to them. This helps to keep order in your home, and it keeps everyone safe, and it keeps peace in your home, and it helps you to stay sane. So set the boundaries, set the rules, and stick to them. Remember, they're children, especially if you have young children. You have to stick to the rules. A lot of us, we get tired and we're just like, man, I'm exhausted. Like, just do whatever. I know I said you were supposed to go wash dishes or go put your toys away or whatever, but I'm tired, so just leave it alone. And then it becomes a habit. And when you get into that habit, what happens is they get to the point where they no longer listen, right? They feel like they don't have to listen because you say this is a rule, you say these are boundaries, I can't do certain things, but you let me do it most of the time anyway. So I'm to the point where I just don't listen. And all you're going to do is make the job harder on you. You're a single mom, girl, you got enough. Set the boundaries and the rules and stick to them. And I'd also like to add that there's a thin line between setting boundaries and rules so that everyone can stay safe and there can be peace in the home and things can stay regulated, versus being controlling and overbearing and causing your children to now feel like they're living in a prison, right? Definitely we're going to have rules, because when they walk outside the door in the real world, there's going to be rules there too. But you want to have it in a way where it's like, what is the point of this rule? Is it to keep them safe? Is it to keep the house clean? What is it, right? Or is it just because now I'm stressed out and so now everything is just going to be controlling and overbearing and tension? That is not what you want. The goal here is to keep peace in our homes, to make it feel like a sanctuary for our kids when they come home. They can feel loved. I'm telling you guys, my home, when we first moved to Texas, and my first apartment that I moved into, I did not have furniture for 6 months. I'm going to share that story. That's a story that I'm going to end up sharing on my podcast, but I did not have furniture in my apartment for 6 months. I literally was going to work, taking my baby to daycare, which was about $1,000 a month, and paying rent. We had bean bags on the floor. We had one TV and the kids' video games that they played the same DVDs over and over until I was able to build and put things into our home and put things into place. But guess what? There was not a day where the kids were like, oh my God, like, why is it? Like, every single day we got home, and we would get home about between 7:30 in the evening after picking everybody up again. Every time we got home, there was peace in my home. There was laughter in my home. There was joy in my home. We didn't have anything. We had food to eat and a roof over our head and clothes on our back. That was it. But I have so many pictures where there's nothing in that place and there's so much laughter and the kids are dancing. So that is the goal here. Make your home a sanctuary. I know it's stressful being a single mom, but at the end of the day, you have full control and full power over what happens when you walk into your home. You have full control and full power over the energy that is in your home. So set the boundaries, set the rules, but know what the reason is behind these boundaries and rules versus, just being an overbearing parent that now has the children feeling like they're in a prison, and that just causes stress and tension. My next tip is to practice self-care, girl. And if you missed the previous video, I'm going to link it onto this one. But practice self-care. It is so important. It's important regardless, right? But in this situation, being a single mom, being exhausted all the time, you have to practice self-care to help keep you sane, to help you feel like you're a normal human being, to help you remember that you are worthy and you are important. So practice self-care. And what does that look like? You may be like, I don't even have any time alone because I have my kids all the time. I get it, but guess what? The kids are not awake all the time. And if they are, then it's time for you to set a bedtime for them. But find some time during the day where you can take probably 15 to 30 minutes to just be by yourself and do something for yourself. But practice self-care, however that looks like for you. If that looks like you're going to go run a bubble bath and enjoy that for the evening with a nice glass of wine and some candles lit around the tub, do that. If your self-care looks like I'm gonna go take a walk by myself, put my music in and just zone out, do that. If you can get some time alone during the day and you have the opportunity to go and get like a mani-pedi, go get your hair done, get a massage, whatever it is that you need to do, but think of something that is going to make you feel good in the moment. It's going to remind you how worthy you are, how important you are, how valuable you are. So just go ahead and do that and enjoy it. But be sure to take some time to take care of yourself and not just be so consumed with work and school and kids and cleaning the house and making dinner. A lot of us get into that mode where we're just, that's our life. That's all we do. And we burn ourselves out. So definitely practice self-care. Right. So my next tip is to work on your time management. And like I said previously, where I'm like, if they don't have a bedtime, then girl, you need to form a bedtime, give them a bedtime schedule. This is all a part of it. Work on your time management. That way you do have time for yourself. You do have a point at the end of the day, especially if you have small children where they're in bed earlier than you. So you have that time to breathe or read a book or make a phone call or do whatever it is that you want to do. But the time management also helps with keeping everything organized and keeping you sane. Create to-do lists and incorporate the children into the to-do list. Give them age-appropriate task to complete. So if they're old enough to wash dishes, get like a whiteboard to put on your refrigerator if you want to. They have like the little magnetic ones, and create a list of chores that has to be done in the house, and you can actually make it fun. So what you can do is create a list of the different chores. So say someone needs to be able to vacuum or vacuum, someone needs to dust, we need dishes washed, or however, whatever it is, right? You're going to make a list of the task, and if you have multiple kids, they can pick and choose which ones they want to do. Like if one person wants to vacuum, okay, so these are the days, we're going to write it on the board. These are the days that you need to make sure you're pulling out the vacuum cleaner and you're doing your job. Or if someone's going to wash dishes, you have it written down the days that, or if they're going to rotate, the days they're going to rotate, or however you want to set it up. But make it fun and make them feel like they're included in this process. So again, these are the chores. This is what we need to do. And let them pick. That way they don't feel like, oh, you're making me do something that I hate. You know, it makes them feel like they have some sense of control. And when children feel like they have some sense of control, they tend to comply a little bit easier, right? So we just playing a little mind game with them, but there's nothing wrong with it, right? So make it fun, but definitely incorporate the kids into helping out with the task, age appropriate tasks. Now, outside of chores and so on, if you just have an issue with you just getting your own stuff completed throughout the day, I want to suggest certain things like time blocking. I like to do time blocking in like 3-hour increments. So say from like 9 to 12, I know that time is blocked off for me to do certain things. So if I'm going to record a YouTube video, if I have to study, or if I have to edit, I have certain things that are listed in that 3-hour time block that's all I'm focused on. I'm not picking up any phone calls. I'm not answering any text messages. I'm not on social media. 3 hours, I'm focused and I'm dialed in on getting this work done. Now, if 3-hour increments are like too much for you and it's like, girl, my mind starts to wander, do smaller time increments. Something else that I like to do is when it comes to like cleaning my kitchen, which I'm really not a fan of, like having to wipe down the stove and things like that, I will do something where I set a timer for like 15 minutes. And I'm like, all right, Nikki, for the next 15 minutes, this is all you're doing. You're going to focus on cleaning off these counters, putting the food away, so on and so forth. And when you get dialed into just completing the task, you start to realize like you're moving so much faster. And most of the time, I'm finished before the timer even goes off. So do certain things like that where it motivates you to just stay focused on completing whatever that particular task is. Now, I like to break down mine into like 15-minute increments, but you do what works for you. So if 25 minutes works for you, do that. If it's 30 minutes, do that. When I take my time to study, I like to try to get in like an hour and a half to 2 hours of studying a day. But I'm not going to lie to y'all, like my mind starts to wander sometimes. And so it'll be probably like 40 minutes in or I'll set the timer on my phone. So that way when my alarm goes off at 40 minutes, I know to get up, maybe go get some water or stretch for a little bit and then come back and start studying some more. But there's so many different techniques that you can use. There's so many apps that can help you with your time management. And so if you are having a problem with that, definitely look into these techniques or the apps and see what works best for you. Now for my last tip. Have something that you are working on to help you develop into a better mother or a better woman, a better whatever. But have a goal that you are working on. And it doesn't even have to be anything major, but I just believe that we should always be growing. We should always be in a position where we are learning more and we are getting better at something. So if that looks like you're taking a class and you're learning something new, go for it. If it looks like you're reading, self-development books, go for it. On whatever topic interests you, go for it. But always be working on something where you are developing yourself in whatever area you choose. And why do I say this? Not only is it for you, because again, I do believe we should always be growing and we should always be in a position of learning and getting better, but it's also for your children. I've said it since the beginning of the video. Our children pay attention to every single thing we do, and it does not matter what you are saying to them. They follow what you do. They watch your actions and they base off of what you do and how you carry yourself and how you take care of yourself and everything. They base how they move through life and how they view life and what they will do with themselves off of what they see you do, not what you're telling them. And so when they see that mom is always going through some evolution, and it doesn't even have to be anything dramatic, but just the simple fact of like you picking up a book and learning something, like say for instance, you're reading about how to be better at communicating, being a better communicator, or you're reading books on emotional intelligence. Taking this information in, eventually you're taking it in, and then on the outside it starts to show. It starts to show with the way you speak to people. It starts to show with the way you handle certain situations, and you just become a better person. So when your children see that mom is she's always learning and she's always getting better, that encourages them to do the same. My little one, I don't even have to tell him, okay, you have to read because reading is good for you and you want to be smart and whatever. He literally just follows by example. He sees that mom is always buying books and mom is always reading. And so eventually all he does is like, when I'm reading, he pulls out his book and he comes to sit next to me and read. My oldest son is the same thing. He's buying books to read. All of my kids, actually, when it comes to like fitness, they grew up seeing me go to the gym. These are kids that they were gym daycare babies. So they like spent so much time at the gym daycare. Now they're in the daycare, they're playing, they're not working out, but they know that this is important to me, and they know that I find value in taking care of my health. And so what do I have now? I have 4 kids that are into their health and fitness. These are not kids that are extreme and they got to be in the gym all the time, but these are kids that are paying attention to what they eat. They are paying attention to making sure they're moving their bodies and they're taking care of their health, because this is what they grew up seeing. So always be in a position of evolution, always be in a position of growing and being better, and be in a position of setting the example that you want for your children. Don't tell them you need to do this because it's good for you or whatever, but be that example. Always be the example. All right, ladies, do me a favor. In the comment, I want you to leave for me one tip that you would like to share with another mom. So if you are a single mother, or even if you're not a single mother, but maybe you grew up with one, or you are around single moms, one advice that you would like to share with another single mom. All right, so that is it for today's video. You guys, as a life coach for women, I am always talking to single moms. Actually, that's how I started my life coaching business, was just strictly, I'm just here for the single mom. I was just strictly about helping single moms, helping them through the process. Many of them, they were new to being a single mom and they were just overwhelmed. So I was helping them with, finding structure in their home, finding structure in their lives, going through the divorce process, going through child support issues, dealing with co-parenting. So if you are a single mom and you're currently in a situation where you're needing some form of support when it comes to this, please schedule a consultation with me, and let's talk about it. All right, ladies, that is it for today's video. Remember that you are meant for more. Take care of your mind, your body, and your soul, and embrace this journey to becoming your better self. If you like this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.